Hello there. This is Andrew Johnson speaking. I am a concept artist and educator. I've been working in games for, at the time of this recording, about 15 years. Welcome to this course. We're going to be putting together a series of projects. These are the types of projects that we would put together if we were working on concept art in a video game. And a lot of the approach that I use for this course is going to sort of focus on the sorts of things that you would run across and sort of the techniques that you would use if you were tackling concept art in a video game setting. Just for the record, all of the projects that we're going to work on in this course are not necessarily realistic looking. They're not going to be photorealistic. They're going to be pretty stylized in order to kind of keep them fun and simple. I don't want you to worry about getting the level of polish that I'm going to be putting on some of my pieces. Some of you might be able to do that. Some of you might not. That is okay if you cannot get the level of polish that I have on my final pieces. Don't let that discourage you. Just use that as a goal so that as you move forward and you start to do more artwork, you can have something to shoot for. Now, there are a few assumptions in this course. One is that you like to draw, and you draw often. You're going to be asked to come up with some ideas of your own in this course, and so you're going to need to want to do that. You're going to need to have that kind of curiosity and interest in drawing that really is kind of essential to being an artist generally. This course also assumes that you're familiar with Photoshop. The program I'm going to be using in this course is Photoshop. You don't have to use Photoshop. If you'd like to use Procreate or another drawing program, you're certainly welcome to. However, I am using Photoshop, and the reason that I'm using Photoshop is because that is currently the industry standard in video games. Is typically most drawing is done in Photoshop. I'm currently using Photoshop for PC. I'm using a Cintiq, which is sort of a giant drawing tablet that, you know, it's a screen that you can draw right on. I would recommend, if you have the means, certainly something like that. But you could also use a Wacom tablet. What you shouldn't use for this course, you shouldn't use a mouse. Drawing with a mouse is like drawing with a potato. You know, potatoes just don't draw very well. So definitely use a stylus. Definitely have, you know, that sort of equipment set up. Again, if you want to use Procreate, you're going to probably need like an Apple Pencil. You're going to want to get something that's going to give you, you know, refined, professional-looking results, ideally. Okay. Why do we use digital media? Why can't we just sketch something on a sketch pad? Well, you can always sketch something on a sketch pad. That's totally fine, and I would encourage you to do so. But one of the reasons that we're going to be looking at digital media is because digital media is, again, what the industry uses. If you want to share a drawing with somebody, you know, you don't want to necessarily show something that you drew in a notebook or in a sketchbook. You're going to want to show something digital that you can, you know, give to a number of different people. Oftentimes people tend to look at digital art and go, it's cheating. But digital art is just a way of doing things that's efficient, right? It's obviously really great if you can paint in oils or, you know, sculpt in marble. I mean, those classical arts are really great. But in video games and in studio art and commercial art generally, digital is the way to go because it allows you to share things faster and also allows you to ideate a lot faster, get your concepts down a lot faster because you can use multiple resources and programs to do that. Now, before we do any work in this class, one of the things that we're going to need to do is we're going to actually need to set up our workspace. And so the first thing that you should do if you are going to set up a file is you're going to need to set up the right size file. One problem that a lot of artists who are going into digital have is they don't necessarily know how big of a canvas to work on, that sort of a thing. So what I would suggest that you do is, if you're in Photoshop, you're going to want a fairly large canvas. So you're going to go to File, New, or when Photoshop comes up, it'll just ask you, you'll get a screen similar to this. And so what size document should you make? Well, I would recommend a document that's at least 5,000 pixels wide with a height of about 3,000. And then we want a resolution of 299 or 300 is fine. Color mode RGB, you want it RGB because red, green, blue is your monitor colors, so this would be appropriate for anything that would be viewed on a screen. RGB is going to have a little bit more of a color range than the alternative, which is CMYK. This is used for print. Why is there a bigger range for RGB? Because there's power behind the pixels on your screen, and you can get a lot more range, at least in terms of colors that are brighter. And then the rest of this is okay. Your background contents, you may want to make sort of a neutral gray. So this will bring up your color picker here. Just go right to the left side and go right in the middle and say okay. And when you're done, you can press create, and you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Ignore all of my layers over here. What should your Photoshop desktop look like if you're going to be doing concept art? Well, every artist has a different understanding of, and a different workflow of, that suits them. What I recommend that you have, maybe obviously your tools panel needs to be open. You can access all of these, of course, in your window. Your tools panel needs to be open. You'll also probably want your brush settings, so you can adjust your brushes. You may want your brush panel. I always have my my tool presets open. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that. And then probably layers and paths. And that's really about it. There may be times when you're going to maybe need additional windows open, but what you don't want is you don't want all of the Windows panels open, because otherwise your document is just going to be too cluttered with tools, and it'll just get in the way of you drawing. Okay, so that is how you should set up your screen. Now, one other thing that you should do before you complete your setup is make sure that you have brushes to draw with. Now, many of the brushes that we're going to use in this particular course are just simple, circular brushes, air brushes, standard brushes that you would find in Photoshop or Procreate. However, you may want to go online and look up things like detail brushes, skin brushes, hair brushes, cloud brushes, scale brushes. There's all sorts of interesting paint brushes that people have that are free or cheap, and you can download them. What you'll end up with is probably a .abr file or a TPL file if you're using tool presets. And all you want to do if you want to install those, if you're not familiar, is go to your brush palette here, and then just grab your brushes and then drag them in. You'll see that your cursor will change to have a little plus sign, and then once you release, your brushes will be added into your brush panel, which you can access here. You can see I've got quite a few brushes myself. Again, we won't use necessarily all of these. Probably use relatively few, or you can access it through your brush palette. So with that, I think we're all set with our setup. So why don't we move on to our next video, and we'll check out our first little project. It'll be a warm-up. And all right, we'll see you then.